Once again, it's on. You know what time it is. It's time to play some toss. Welcome, everyone, to episode 142 of Toss and Tristain on Sports Show. It is your main man, T-Square, Tristain Thomas. On another episode of Toss, we keep it rolling. This week, we've got to talk Milwaukee Bucks basketball. A lot has transpired since we last spoke. Things may be coming together and starting to click. We'll discuss how they've been doing. And then a toss sweep. I got some things to get off my chest. Just some things that are just bothering me in the world of sports. I can't pinpoint why, but it just is, and we're going to air those grievances in the toss sweep. But as I said before, we get things started off with the state of the state. We got to talk about those Milwaukee Bucks, because the last time we spoke, Doc Rivers came into a very difficult situation. Adrian Griffin had been fired after going 30-10, 30-11. Rough situation to get yourself into coming in mid-season. You have a successful team. Very difficult to try to come in and implement everything that you want to. And we discussed that on the last episode of Toss. A very difficult situation coming in. Adrian Griffin and Doc Rivers are friends, and you already know the whole consulting story and all that, but we're not here to rehash that. What I'm trying to iterate is that it was a very difficult situation to come into, replacing a head coach midway through the season. You don't have a full offseason to build chemistry with the team. You don't have a full training camp to implement what you want to do, a full preseason to implement what you want to do. You're now trying to piece this thing together on the fly, trying to figure out what this team does well currently, what they are struggling on currently, and implement what you want to do into some of the things they have been doing, but yet improve all of it. It is a gargantuan task. It is a very difficult task, and it's a task that I don't think very many coaches would wish on any other coach. For the level of difficulty that it is. It's already difficult to coach at this level. Incredibly difficult. Even with a full offseason, even with a full training camp, even with a full preseason, it's incredibly difficult to go out there, coach these millionaires up, because everybody on that court is a millionaire. Let's just be transparent about that. Motivate these guys to want to play together, have that same goal, go in the same direction, and consistently win. It is incredibly difficult to do. But it's much more difficult to do when you're coming in halfway through a season. The team already has a system in place. Offensively, defensively. They're used to certain things, and now everything's going to be changed. How can we be successful with that? And when Doc first came in, the Bucks really weren't that successful. I believe they were 3-7 in the first 10 games with him. Kind of limped into the All-Star break, not playing the best basketball. If you're a stat watcher, you're going to say, "Oh man, they were just terrible." If you're a wins and loss watcher, "Oh man, they were just terrible." They had their deficiencies in the beginning with Doc Rivers, which came to be expected. It's a guy coming in midway through the season trying to implement his system, and he can't put in everything he wants to. That's for next season, when he has a full off season, when he has a full training camp, when he has a full preseason. That'll be then. But the important pieces to help this team get better in the areas that they were deficient in, those are the things that he wants to install. And in those first few games, that first little bit with Doc Rivers, the results weren't desirable. But what you were seeing on the court was desirable. This team was an absolute sieve defensively. before Doc Rivers came on. 19th in the league. That is not the typical Bucks defense we've grown accustomed to seeing. When they say fear the deer, it isn't just about Giannis coming downhill on you. It isn't Chris Middleton, in the closing moments of the game doing what he does. Although those things are a part of it. It's because you're going to have one hell of a time trying to get the ball in the basket. Fear the deer, they really got that name for what they did on the defensive end, in my opinion. Because you were going to get Giannis coming downhill at you. And if you put that wall up, you're going to have Chris Middleton, who's going to go out there capable of putting up 40 himself. You had much to fear. But with Adrian Griffin on that defensive end, you didn't have a whole lot to fear. Like I said, Bucks were 19th defensively. Since Doc Rivers has taken over, he's brought this team, this Milwaukee Bucks ball club, up to 5th defensively in the entire NBA. From 19th to 5th. Now, when they were going into the All-Star break, when they had that first little stretch of games under Doc Rivers, as I said, the results were not desirable. They were not winning consistently. But what you were seeing on the court was desirable because you could see the effort was there again on the defensive end. And it wasn't just a little bit of effort. It was consistent effort. It is the kind of effort that we have grown accustomed to seeing this Milwaukee Bucks team have on that defensive end. Now, offensively, you really weren't completely, totally worried about them offensively. They're putting the basketball in the hoop at an alarming clip. They're still currently ranked 5th offensively. So you got it 5th offensively, 5th defensively now. They're top 5 in both categories on both ends. That's the kind of Milwaukee Bucks basketball that we have all grown accustomed to seeing. That's the fear the deer type Bucks. Now, are they completely back? No, they're still working on some things. You see the game with the sets they're running for Dame are now starting to come to fruition. That two-man game between he and Giannis is starting to come to fruition. You see Dame starting to get a little bit more comfortable, but when you got off-the-court stuff going on, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But you could see the improvements there, but defensively is where Doc Rivers has really made the biggest difference. To go from 19th to 5th overall in defense in the NBA is incredible in the short amount of time that he's been here. It's just remarkable. So while the results were not desirable when they were heading into the All-Star break, what you were seeing, the effort you were seeing on that end of the court, especially, was very desirable. Now you come out of the break, and you proceed to go 6-0, and you had some really good wins in there. Probably most notably, yes, you beat the world champion Nuggets, but most notably, this past Monday night's game against the Clippers, you were down big, no Giannis. You dug your heels in defensively. Bobby Portis making play after play. Dame making play after play. He had 41. Portis 28 and 16. Patrick Beverly, who that trade is turning out to be really good. You just didn't know what you were going to get out of him. But he's that agitator. He's that kind of guy that you need in a rough, tough, physical, defensive system such as Doc Rivers has. You rip off 6 straight. You win that game against the Clippers in a big comeback, especially in that fourth quarter, which was just, I felt that, hey, this could be the game that really it can serve as a launch pad to doing special things. Then, of course, right after that, Wednesday night's ball game against the Warriors, they get smacked around lose by 30. Or was it 35? It was 30 plus. All I know is that I was very, very disappointed in the result of that ball game. But when you give a team like that too much confidence early, and they've been battle tested and won a lot of championships, you just can't afford to do that against a team like that, and that's exactly what happened. But overall, what we've seen from this team under Doc Rivers has been completely desirable. Now, when they were going through their struggles, when the results were not desirable, and I know I keep saying it, but I'm just going to pound it into your head, because some of y'all need to understand and some of y'all need to get it. When the results were not desirable, oh man, these haters were all on Doc Rivers' head. Bucks aren't improving under him. He sucks. He's milking one ring from 2008. He'll just get them to the playoffs, and then they're going to blow a 3-1 lead. This team's going to suck under Doc Rivers. I've heard everything. I've read everything. But that contingent was real quiet. At least they have been. It's been a little bit of a scuttlebutt since the Warriors lost. Yes, I said scuttlebutt. But for the most part, it's been real quiet. It's been crickets. Silent night from those folks. Because folks like me said, hey. And folks like me, I mean folks with common sense, because as my mom would say, common sense ain't common. But I digress. I said, hey, this is going to take time. So while the results may not be completely desirable to start, what we're looking for is a change in effort and energy. We know some of the X's and O's are going to be different. It's a different head coach, different philosophy. But you can tangibly see when effort is being put in. You can tangibly see when a team is playing with great energy and synergy. And this Bucks team is getting there. 6-0 since the break, one of the hottest teams in all of the NBA. Well on their way to clinching a playoff spot, but you still got some work to do. And you're still not 100% healthy. Chris Middleton, whose status is, I mean, at this point, really unknown, because at 1 minute he had put in a full practice, then the next minute he hasn't. 1 minute, oh, he could be back in, sometime after the All-Star break, maybe a week or two. Then it's, oh, well, I'm waiting for my swelling on my ankle to go down so I could go out there and move pain-free. So still no timetable. So eventually you'll get him back. In what capacity and what he's still going to be able to give you at this point, who knows? But having him is better than not having him. Having him, especially healthy for a playoff run, is important and more desirable than not having him. But overall, if you're someone who has common sense, if you're someone who understands that implementing a new program is difficult, implementing a new program midway through the season with a new coach who's had zero time to really learn all the players and their personalities, get his finger on the pulse of everything that's going on, is a more monumental challenge. The results were not desirable at the beginning, but they have been over the last 6. Well, I should say 6 of the last 7 games have been a more desirable result. But you have to tip your cap to Doc Rivers coming into the situation. Very difficult situation. Putting his nose to the grindstone and just getting to work. You have to give kudos to his staff. Some of those guys he didn't hire. They had to learn new things too. Putting their noses to the grindstones and doing the work as well. And then you have to go to the players and tip your cap to them. Understanding that change is difficult, change midway through a season when you've been doing one thing and now you have to do completely different things. You have to have a completely different energy. You have to learn a completely different new staff, a completely new head coach, their personalities. Learning all the new X's and O's. Getting a renewed sense of energy and sense of self. They're going out there and executing and winning consistently. Still work to do, but now the results are becoming more desirable. You just have to give kudos top to bottom. It was an incredibly tough situation, especially letting go of Adrian Griffin. But you could just see that the energy was not the same. You could just see that the results, while mostly desirable, were not really going to carry you to the heights that you've been and want to revisit. To come in and do everything that they've been doing to get these guys ready every single game, to now really starting to win more consistently than they had been at the beginning of his tenure, it's admirable. It's completely admirable. Bucks got another difficult game on the road, West Coast, Friday, against your old friend Darvin Ham and the Los Angeles Lakers. That's not going to be a layup. They compete too. Bucks need to come in with great confidence and not allow the Lakers to gain any confidence, because that was their mistake against the Warriors. Bucks came in, they had a lead. Then they started getting sloppy. Transition defense was not great, which was really one of the huge turnarounds of the season, with their transition defense being great. Turning the ball over. You can't have that happen. Do not allow that Lakers team to get any sort of steam. You go in, you assert your dominance. You get out of crypto.com arena, which I was about to call it Staples, but I'm so glad I didn't. Proud of myself for that. You get out of crypto.com arena with a victory over the Lakers, only to have to turn around and play in that same building again on Sunday against the Clippers, who are going to be looking for some give back after you storm back to beat them in your home just this past Monday. God, I love the NBA. It's time for us to run the toss sweep. I got some pet peeves. Now, you know what? I don't even want to call them pet peeves. It's just some things that are irritating the hell out of me as of late in the world of sports. Some things have been out there and for a little bit, but y'all haven't heard me comment on them. So I'm going to comment on anyway because they still irk me. What's up with all this Thanasis Adetokounmpo slander? I don't understand it. Yeah, he's the brother of the former two-time MVP, Finals MVP, world champion. Hell, he's a world champion himself. Brother's going to be a Hall of Famer. You mad at him because he's on the team? And you think it's nepotism and whatever else these people have been calling it. But that's not really what irks me. What's irking me is that people who couldn't get 1 point at the YMCA actually think they could cook the NASAs. What? Do you not understand one of Giannis's inspirations? Do you not understand why he is even in the game and who he looked up to growing up, playing the game? It was his brother, the NASAs. Those two shared shoes together. He just dropped a Giannis 5 in honor of his brother, thanking him for that. Thanks for sharing your shoes. The NASAs was Giannis's inspiration. As far as basketball went, people don't realize that it was supposed to be the NASAs in the spot that Giannis was in. People were looking at the NASAs before they were looking at Giannis. And y'all really think you can cook this dude? Look, if you make the NBA, and I don't care how many minutes you get 1 minute, you get no minutes, you could be riding the pine every single game, but you made it to the league. That makes you one of the best basketball players in the world. And I don't think people really get that enough. There's only a few hundred men who can walk around this world right now currently and say, I'm on an NBA roster. I'm an NBA player. That is the elite of the elite. The NBA is the league that everybody who hoops wants to be in. The women want to be in the WNBA. The men want to be in the NBA. It is the elite of the elite. You make the NBA, you are one of the best players in the world. He made the NBA. He's one of the best players in the world. And y'all really think you can cook him? Stop it. Stop it. You couldn't tie his shoes. You couldn't wring out his wristbands. You couldn't wash his jersey. Just stop it. Why is Nick Saban going around talking? He abruptly retired. Some people have suspicions as to why he retired. He came out and said, oh, well, you know, it was after a conversation I had with players about NIL. And now he's sitting here talking about all the game of college football is changing for the worst. And we've got to get a handle on all this. Stop it. The last person that needs to be talking about any of that is Nick Saban. I don't give a damn how many national championships he's won. He needs to stop talking. This is a guy who's left every job he's been at. Even notably in the NFL from the Dolphins. Just walked away. Ends up going back to college. He's taking job after job after job because the money was greener. And it was a lot more green. So it's okay for him and every other coach to job hop and go from place to place because the checks get bigger. But it's not okay for these kids who would get suspended or even get their scholarship taken from them if somebody gave them a quarter piece of a chicken nugget. And now there's something here that allows these young athletes to profit off of the talents they bring to the table, off of the results they bring to the table, and the money that they're helping the universities print because of what they do in their field of play. Now that they have a chance to really cash in on that and are doing business as such, because not every player that gets notoriety or anything else is going to be any good on the next level, and they're not guaranteed to make it to the next level. So why not make that money on the level that you're at? Why not cash in on those talents that you have to set yourself up better for your future? And he's got a problem with that. But he doesn't see anything wrong with these coaches leaving, having a whole recruiting class come in, but they're not going to be there anymore. Transfer portals and NIL, and he just can't handle it anymore because it's just changing the game of college football, and it's just changing it it just turned into a game I don't recognize. Stop it. Because now these players have the opportunity to do what you and other coaches have been doing all along. They may not touch the same type of paper that you and these other coaches touch, but at least now they can make something from their talents that they bring to the table and making y'all asses look like absolute geniuses. And finally, this one just dropped today. News of this just dropped today, and I am so entirely conflicted and a little bit pissed. Seems that July 20th, we've got a fight on our hands. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Not some guy from YouTube named Mike Tyson. I'm talking about former heavyweight champion of the world, one of the most dangerous men in the world, baddest man on the planet in the world. I guess that's redundant, but you get what I'm saying. That Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's approaching 60. And yes, we've seen the training videos of him, and he still looks vicious. He still looks dangerous in the ring. The man is an absolute artist when it comes to the art of fighting. But why this fight? Why get back into the ring with the likes of a Jake Paul? Now, I'm not here to poo-poo on the things that Paul has done. I mean, he's worked hard, and he's trying to make himself a legitimate boxer. And I mean, you can see he still has some skills there. I'm not going to call him the best fighter in the world. He's nowhere near that, but I can't knock the hustle. I can't knock what he has been able to do. But what comes with him, it just feels like kind of a circus. What comes with him doesn't feel quite on the up and up. Now, I know he and Roy Jones fought, and it was basically a draw. Kept up with him pretty well, but you talk about some of the greatest fighters that are way beyond their prime. Again, don't want to poo-poo it, but at the same time, you have to call it what it is. Now you're going after a 57-year-old Mike Tyson. I'm just conflicted about this. Like, well, if you're going to get back in the ring, I would much rather see an exhibition with he and Lennox Lewis, or see an exhibition with he and Evander Holyfield. You know, something that's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening. it's an exhibition. It's, whatever. It's just great to see two legends get back in it and, go a few rounds. I don't know how to feel about this. On the one hand, man, would I love to see, Tyson and get back in the ring and, go a little bit. What has he got left in the tank? I mean, I don't know. Kind of intriguing, but at the same time, it's like, dude, it's a Jake Paul fight. I don't think I've ever cleared, my Fridays or Saturdays to watch a Jake Paul fight. I would catch it when I caught it. Again, not poo-pooing on him, but what comes along with the Jake Paul fight. For me, it just doesn't feel like it's on the up and up. It doesn't. I'm very conflicted that they pulled this man out of. I mean, was he really retired? I mean, does a boxer really ever retire? They retire, unretire, retire, unretire. I mean, it's in their blood. They can't get rid of it. But it's just, I'm so conflicted. I'm so mad. It's like, this is going to be an absolute circus. Is this going to be treated like a true bout? Can it be treated as a true bout? It's Mike Tyson approaching 60. But he still looks dangerous. It's Jake Paul. I mean, yeah, kind of a circus, but you can't knock the hustle. You can't knock the skills that he's acquired over the years in boxing. It's just very conflicting for me. It irks me, but it intrigues me, and it irks me even more because I am a little bit intrigued. Just hoping for a good, clean fight, a fight that's on the up and up. May the best man win, I guess. Well, that'll do it for me. I don't know what else to say, y'all. I'm conflicted about that one. But that'll do it for me. This was episode 142 with the Austin Tristain Sports Show. Follow me. Threads at the20double. Instagram at the20double. Yes, folks, I'm still on X, aka Twitter, at the20double. Follow me there. Facebook.com/T on Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show. Touch on a lot of things there that we don't necessarily get a chance to here on this program. That's Facebook.com/T on Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show. And of course, TossNationMedia.com. Your home for the Toss brand of sports. Truthful, opinionated, passionate sports. It's what you deserve. But as I said before, it's time for me to get on up out of here. This has been T Squared Tristan Thomas reminding all of you to keep it moving forward. Always forward. Forward always. Until next week, so long from Toss.